Welcome to another exciting episode of Do Python Homework. All right. Well, I am your host today, Mike Newlip, Python programmer, and we are going to do the assignment that every Python person, or actually every computer science person does at some point in some time in their life: convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, and back and forth again. So, let's go ahead and get started. So I am in my Linux box, and I am going to do the Linux equivalent of Notepad. It's called VI, and we're going to call our program tempconvert.py because it's Python. Well, first, let's just define what the formulas are, just so we know. Celsius is going to be Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 1.8. And if you solve for Fahrenheit, it looks like this. Fahrenheit is going to equal 1.8 times Celsius, and then we're going to add 32 to it. So those are our two formulas we need to know. It's really just one, but it's solved for both ways. So the goal of this program is to prompt the user for Celsius or Fahrenheit, put that in a while loop, and then Q will be our key character to quit. So we're gonna take a couple of different things we've learned. We've learned how to input a string. We know about floating point. We're gonna do these all with floating point. We're gonna have an extended if statement, and we're gonna wrap all that stuff up into a while loop. So let's go ahead and start. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to have our temp units. This is going to be a string, and I'm arbitrarily setting it to U because it's unknown. This is the variable we're going to store either a C for Celsius, an F for Fahrenheit, or Q to quit. So I'm just defining it. Now let's give the user some instructions on how to use this awesome program we're going to make. Enter Q to quit program. C to enter in temp in Celsius, or F to enter in temp in Fahrenheit. Okay, well, that's pretty straightforward. The \n is an enter, so it'll print this and then go to the next line when it prints more output. Okay, so let's start our while loop. While temp units is not Q, which means colon. So colon indicates our new code block. So this thing is going to keep on looping forever until we hit Q. So this is a while loop with input. We indent foreign for the new code block. So temp units, we're going to enter this in as a string. That's what the str is. Convert to C for Celsius or F for Fahrenheit. Or not convert to, we'll just say convert. Convert Celsius or Fahrenheit. Okay, so we get our input in. So if temp units equals C, colon, because it's an if statement, now again, from this if statement, we got to indent for in, because it's a nested code block within a code block. So we hit C, so we want to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And now we need to go ahead and get our input. I'd like to do the input as a floating point number because the Europeans and the Australians and the Canadians, you know, they don't, Celsius is not as graduated as Fahrenheit is. So a lot of times they will say, oh, it's 28.7 degrees Celsius outside, you know, in their news reports. So because they do that, and we will get fractional numbers converting back and forth, or we could because of the 1.8, we're going to do this all as a floating point. So enter the temperature in Celsius. And then we give it our Fahrenheit formula. So it knows what Celsius is because we just entered it in, and now we've converted it with that formula. So let's look at what we're printing out. So Celsius, that's the number we entered. In Celsius is, then this is our calculated number here, Fahrenheit, which we get from this formula in Fahrenheit. And I see a typo here, which I will now fix. Fahrenheit. Okay. So that's all we need to do for converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. We're done there. So that code block ends. Now we're going to do an else if, because the user could still hit F or could hit Q or some other thing. Notice I'm doing double equal sign. So this is temp units is equal to F. We don't want to do a single assignment operator. If you do temp units equals F, that's different than is equals F. Put a colon, so we start a new code block again. And it's going to be almost the same, except we're going in the opposite direction, this time from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So let's do the Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit equals, let's get the input as a floating point number. Enter the temperature in Fahrenheit. And then calculate Celsius from it. So we do the same exact thing, we just do it in reverse order. We get the number in Fahrenheit from the user here, and then using it here, we go ahead and we calculate Celsius. Now, we're going to do another else if. So what happens if the user chooses Q? We want to capture that, and we're going to acknowledge it by printing quitting program was chosen. Now if you have an if and you want to do an else, you could do that. So we said if temp units is C, else if temp units is F, and else if temp units is Q. We have something that we know how to deal with this. So it's good programming practice if what happens if the input is not CF or Q. Usually at the bottom of this kind of structure, this if extended else then type structure, you put something that captures everything else. And if we're not choosing that, let's let the user know that they must choose FC or Q. And that's it. So if we choose the letter P, for example, so we're done with all those code blocks. So if we go through this and we choose the letter P and we're caught in the while loop, we go back up here. Does P not equal Q? Well, that's true, so we're going to loop through this again. So we're going to keep looping till the user chooses Q. And when they choose Q, we're going to say, thank you for using the awesome F to C and C to F converter. Now, if I didn't screw this up, this should run. So user local bin Python 3, that's where Python is stored on my system. Hey, no syntax errors yet. So enter Q to quit, C to enter temp and Celsius, or F to enter temp and Fahrenheit. I'm going to do letter P. So notice what happened. That last else, where it says you must choose F, C, or Q, came up, and it says convert Celsius or Fahrenheit. So let's do Celsius. Enter the temp in Celsius. Well, I just happen to know that 100 degrees in Celsius is where water boils, which should be 212 in Fahrenheit. And what do you know? It is. Let's do another Celsius. See? Water freezes at 0 on the Celsius scale. Well, Celsius is a water derived temperature, and we know that water freezes at 32 in Fahrenheit. That's where we get ice. So let's do Fahrenheit now, just make sure. So 212 in Fahrenheit should be 100 in Celsius, and 32 in Fahrenheit should be 0 in Celsius. So today it's 25 degrees in Chicago, which is kind of where Lewis University is. So if you were a Canadian reporting the weather in Chicago, it would be negative 3.9 Celsius about is how you'd report that. Okay, so let's quit. We're done. Q to quit. Thank you for using the awesome converter. So that's it in a nutshell. Again, we had our while loop, while not Q, so it keeps looping for input. We have a nested code block So the first code block starts with this temp units here, and then the if with this colon here starts the next code block, which is indented here, and then it ends and it drops back, and then so on. Thank you for watching my video.